In this video, I'll be going over some tips for your first few days of classes, just help kind of calm your nerves and aid in your transition to university. The first and likely most important tip I have is to read your syllabus. In university, a syllabus is what gives all the information about the course you may need. It starts off with listing your instructor name, as well as ways to contact them outside of class time. If you have any questions, they must be answered before your next class. From there, we have our class times. This just gives the days, times, and locations for all of your lectures, labs, and tutorials. From there, we have a brief course description, as well as some learning outcomes. The learning outcomes are just some things the professor thinks the student should be able to do by the end of the course. In the textbook section, it will list which books are required and which books are optional if there are any. Required means you need to buy them for the course, whereas optional, the professor thinks it's a good resource if you can afford it. Next, we have the course requirements and grading section. So first, it'll list out all the assignments and tests you may have with the relative weighting for your final grade. So it might say throughout the course you have 15 assignments, all worth 3% of your final mark, as well as one test worth 15, one test worth 20, and a few quizzes. You'll then move on to your final exam. It'll give the format, so open book means with notes and closed book means without, or it could be a take-home where you take it home and do it and bring it back. It will also give the weight of the exam in the final grade. Usually it's around 20 to 30% for first year engineering courses. It will then list any work that does not count for the final grade but must be completed to pass the course. These are just pass-fail assignments. From there, it'll give the instructor's policy on late assignments, so some instructors may have reduced grades. So if you pass in 1 day late, you get 10% off, 2 days 20, etc. Others may just not accept it at all, so make sure you're getting your work in on time. Next, we have the grading scale. So you can see it goes all the way from 0 to 100, with an 89.5 to 100 being an A+, or the highest grade you can get. From there, it's broken down into different intervals, but as you can see, all of the A's are excellent, all the B's are good, C's are satisfactory, D is a marginal pass, and F is inadequate. Next, we have our availability of faculty. So this just says it might take 24 to 48 hours for your instructor to respond to your message. This is because they are not expected to check their emails during evening and weekend hours. Next, it gives information about the Brightspace site that you have, and we go into course schedule. Some courses may have this, some others may not. If it does, it's just a weekly breakdown of what unit you're covering and what assignment is being done that week. Now we get to the appendices. I'm not going to cover all of these, I'm just going to go to the two most important ones. So feel free to pause and read the other ones if you want. The first is the use of plagiarism detection software. Every instructor at Dalhousie has access to this software, and basically it does what it says it does in the name. It's able to detect any plagiarism in your papers. So for any written assignments, instructors can plug in your assignment to the software and it'll tell if you plagiarized or not. So don't do it. It's very easy to get caught, and it's a direct violation of the academic integrity policy listed right below it. Academic integrity is very important at Dalhousie. It's one of the worst offenses you can do at your time at university. So be sure to read through this policy, make sure you know it front and back so you don't make any mistakes and get caught with a violation. My next step makes your life so much easier at the end of each term. Is to make folders for each of your classes and make sure you're putting in all the information you get for each class in the folder. This just frees up all of your download folder so it's not full of just a mess of documents. So for example, we have this Chemistry Lab 2. I can throw this into my Chemistry 2 folder and it frees up a slot. So it's very important to use for all of your classes, or else your download folder is going to get very cluttered very fast. You're always going to be downloading things off of Brightspace, such as assignments or readings, and just plugging them into the folders. It makes it so much easier near the end of this term when you're trying to clear up your folder for the next incoming classes. So just as an example, if we open up one of my folders here, for example linear algebra, you can see all of that used to be in my download folder and made it very messy to sort through and find what I needed to find. So we go back to downloads. How we open a new folder is as simple as just clicking the new folder button right here. We'll click this. Say for example we want a folder for statics or engineering 1. So engineering 1. And then we just press enter. Simple as that, we have a new folder. So for example I have a file, just drag it in, click it, drag it in, pop it in there. It's off of my download folder. Scroll through menu is just in the folder. So if I ever need to access it again, I just double click on the Engineering 1 folder, and there it is. This just frees up some space and makes your life so much easier. I can't stress that enough. The next step covers the basics of Brightspace. To find Dow's Brightspace page, all you need to do is search up Dow Brightspace and click on the link dow.brightspace.com. Clicking on it will bring you to the Dow login page, where it'll ask for your net ID and password. I recommend bookmarking this page because you are going to be using Brightspace a lot over this next coming year. So once we have that entered, we can log in. This brings us to the Brightspace homepage, where you can see some notices to students from Dalhousie, as well as some other Brightspace news, along with all the courses you're in, bookmarked here. To sort through all of your courses, you can click on the grid icon here, and you can see all the courses that you're registered in. So if you want to click on one course, for example, you can click on Introductory Calculus 1. This brings us to the course homepage, where you can have some announcements, updates, your instructor information, and your calendar, which has all of your assignments. And each course of Brightspace is broken down into content, discussions, and assessments. Assessments are your assignments, quizzes, and grades. Discussions are any discussion pages that your instructor may have open, so this could be questions or introductions for each of your classes. And then in the actual content section, this is where all of your resources are. So you can see most instructors have broken down into different weeks, what you're going to be covering. In each of these weeks, this contains all the information you need for this week, whether it be your assignment, or your notes, or your reading. The next step has to do with learning where everything is on campus. So in your first year of engineering, your classes are going to be in 3 different buildings. The Cox Institute, which is this large building here, number 4, as you can see with the dot. The Banting building, which is right beside Cox, number 5. And finally, the Haley Institute, which is number 35, way over here. So you need to look at your class schedule and start planning out the routes you're going to take from class to class. So it's important to get this down in the first few days, so you minimize any panic you may have when you're going from course to course and you're worried about being late. Other than that, this map is also very helpful for learning where everything else is on campus. So if you want to save this, take a screenshot of this video maybe, or a picture with your phone, it can be very helpful. Other than that, my final tip is just to reach out of your comfort zone. Everyone else is as nervous as you are, and it's very important to make friends with your classmates because you're going to be together for the 2 whole years here at LAC. Other than that, that ends off the video. I hope this helped, and I can't wait to see you all on campus this fall.